4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
So, we are here. We are live, baby. We are live. Thank you all so much for tuning into this week's, or today's segment, rather, of For the People podcast. And I am, of course, your humble host, Niko House. There's going to be some noise in the background a little bit, but y'all be okay. I got people working on some stuff upstairs in my room. But we have a very special guest, so I definitely wasn't going to cancel this show. We are going to be talking a little bit about this tweet from Israel that I ain't gonna lie, guys. Given Israel's history, it's not a really good look. It's not a really good look for them to have put this out at such a weird time when Israel has been known to blackmail people that don't do what they tell them to. And this tweet doesn't really help that situation. We're also going to have a Sabby Sabs come on from the Revolutionary Blackout Network. You also probably see her as a frequenter of Rising, the Hill Rising, with Bree Joy Gray and the white guy. I shouldn't call it. Robbie, I think his name. He looks like a Robbie. I think his name is Robbie. So before we get started, I'm gonna ask for y'all to like this video. I'm gonna ask for y'all to share this video. We are live right now on Rockfin, YouTube, Rumble, and Twitter. And so make sure you go follow us on Twitter. My For the People podcast actual show has a Twitter. It's For the People. But it's FORTHEPPL Niko with a K, not a C. Y'all know the deal. All right, so y'all, did y'all see this? Let's pull this up for you guys. This is crazy. Oh, actually, let me send a link to Sav so she knows where we're at. But also, did y'all see this tweet, y'all? So Israel tweeted out, "We will dance again," sometime late last night. At least it was late for me. So I was like, that's a super weird, corny, because Israel tweets out corny shit all the time. So that wasn't really all that peculiar. But this was what was peculiar, was when Syrian Girl tweeted this out. She originally tweeted out underneath the original tweet, but she said, "Is that a threat?" I was like, what does that even mean? And then I kept seeing other people put this, like, yo, are y'all threatening us? Are y'all threatening the US? I was like, damn. Sometimes I'd be out the loop on the most random stuff, and this is one of the things I was out the loop on. But the reason why she tweeted that out is because of this groundbreaking article talking about FBI docs, Mint Press just doing what Mint Press always does, which is bringing us some of the best coverage in the world. The dancing Israelis FBI documents shed light on apparent Mossad foreknowledge of 9/11 attacks. Yeah. Look, some of y'all might be as confused as I am, because this caught me off guard. I'm not even gonna lie to you. And here's what I'm gonna do. We're gonna take a look at this article. Some of y'all might be just as curious as I was. Now, y'all have heard a lot of the conspiracies that a lot of people, say, like, yeah, they were probably involved. And most of us, when we say that they were probably involved in 9/11, it's because, well, what isn't the Mossad involved in? I think that we all just kind of have that feeling. And it's one of those truisms of life. If the US was complicit in a mass murder or a mass attack or bombing, and somehow, some way, the Middle East was involved. In this particular case, we went to Afghanistan as a result of this attack with on 9/11 from Al Qaeda in Saudi Arabia somehow. But whatever, we can go there. Al Qaeda, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Mossad. It just sounds like one big network of people the U.S. talks to. But generally speaking, we just assume that Israel was involved. So this doesn't look good either, because I just saw a video, and I'm gonna see if I can find it in a second, but I just saw a video with a former senator, who said openly, almost every single war, every single conflict in the Middle East in the last several decades, the US entered because of Israel, even if it was against our interests. Now, once again, when you consider the Epstein situation, the Ghislaine Maxwell situation, the blackmailing of politicians. Is that really all that surprising? Because it isn't just like it's only the US who's got involved in these conflicts. He had information, Epstein had information on the royal family, and where was the UK at? Right beside us, doing everything we told him to. Right? So this adds to that. So this is from 2019. Once again, Mint Press is doing what Mint Press does. New York. For nearly 2 decades, one of the most overlooked and little known arrests made in the aftermath of September 11th attacks was that of so-called high fivers, or the quote-unquote dancing Israelis. However, new information released by the FBI on May 7th has brought fresh scrutiny to the possibility that the dancing Israelis, at least 2 of whom were known Mossad operatives, had prior knowledge of the attacks on the World Trade Center. Shortly after 8:46 a.m. on the day of the attacks, just minutes after the first plane struck the World Trade Center, 5 men, later revealed to be Israeli nationals, had positioned themselves in the parking lot of the Doric apartment complex in Union City, New Jersey. Oh, it was Union City, New Jersey, where they were seen taking pictures and filming the attacks while also celebrating the destruction of the towers and high-fiving each other. At least one eyewitness interviewed by the FBI had seen the Israelis' van in the parking lot as early as 8 a.m. Them times don't seem to match up, because if they were there at 8 a.m. taking pictures, shortly after 8:46 a.m., they were celebrating. And wow, but mind y'all, this is an iPhone era yet. We barely in flip phone era. And they were taking pictures, presumably with high quality cameras that they came prepared with. And so so they were more than 40 minutes. They were there for more than 40 minutes prior to the attack. The story received coverage in the US mainstream media at the time, but has since been largely forgotten. The men, I'm not even going to read. Steven Kurzberg, Paul Kurzberg, Oded Elnir, Yaron Shimwell, and Omar Marmari were subsequently apprehended by law enforcement and claimed to be Israeli tourists on a working holiday. The United States, where they were employed by a moving company, Urban Moving Systems. On his arrest, Kurzberg told the arresting officer, "We are Israeli. We are not your problem. Your problems are our problems. The Palestinians are the problem." Wow, that's random as hell. For years, the official story has been that these individuals, while they engage in immature behavior by celebrating and being visibly happy, and their documenting of the attacks had no prior. Basically, the story was maintained that they had no prior knowledge of the attack. However, newly released FBI copies of the photos taken by the 5 Israelis strongly suggest that these individuals had prior knowledge of the attacks at the World Trade Center. The copies of the photos were obtained via FOIA request made by a private citizen. So yeah, they had cameras. So I did not know about. I think I vaguely remember hearing about this story. Vaguely. Middle Maga, thank you very much, man. Appreciate the super chat. Vaguely remember this story. I don't remember it being like this. And to be completely honest, I'm surprised that this hasn't been brought back up until they made that tweet. But do y'all understand? Israel has a really bad habit of arrogantly showing their hand. I mean, I feel like this story is probably a prime example of that, right? They're out there taking pictures, celebrating, and they're Mossad. There's at least 2 Mossad agents that told the most ridiculous lie. Yeah, man, we work for a moving company. We're not your problem. The Palestinians are what? Oh man. And then Israel tweets this statement out once again. We will dance again, with no context. What does that mean? What does that mean? Nobody's a little bit curious about that. What's even crazier about this, and I'm gonna see if I can find this article. Right before I hopped on, I saw this news about Biden that I was, yeah, yeah. So I saw this news about Biden. It is. Now we know it's not true. We know he really doesn't feel like this, but he says Biden. It says Biden said to have called Netanyahu a bad fucking guy. White House denies claim. Democrats reportedly increasingly concerned that support of Israel's offensive against Hamas. No, support of Israel's genocide against Palestinians, but I guess you can call it whatever you want. But it says that it could cause from the 2024 election, with 50% of Biden voters saying Gaza war is a genocide. How is it a war? Once again, I feel like we need to readdress the definition of a war and a genocide. A war entails two people stand an equal chance of winning, or at least a somewhat equal chance of winning. A war between two armies from sovereign nations. This isn't that. And I think that people need to read up on what a genocide is. A genocide isn't, oh, we killed everybody and they're gone. That's like the genocide is complete, I guess. But a genocide is targeting a group of people because of racial demographic, ethnic demographic, et cetera, and systematically killing them and or forcibly removing them, which means they don't necessarily have to be killed. There are still Armenians left. However, they were forcibly removed, right? That doesn't mean that the Young Turks did not commit a genocide. It means that they're right now, unfortunately, their genocide is complete. Same situation. And not to mention, Israel literally made the claim pretty like the papers got, you can't even call it leaked because they were presented. Where they're like, hey, man, let's go ahead and talk to Egypt and see if we can remove all 2.5 million Palestinians from Gaza. That's a plan to remove a group of people while they're at the same time targeting them because of what? Their ethnic demographic or their racial demographic, or in this particular case, even their religious demographic. So, yeah, that's a genocide. So let's just go ahead and clarify that. That's why 50% of the voters are telling Biden to suck a dick, because they're not about to support genocide. Y'all got to remember, there are a lot of voters, unfortunately, that would choose to look the other way if social media allowed them. If the wave on social media decided it was okay to look the other way from Biden funding this genocide, from Biden not giving aid to Gaza, right? Then these people would, in fact, look the other. And I know this because I just watched it happen during the last election. They knew about his past, but enough popular voices on social media said ignore it. You get what I'm saying? They knew about the Charlemagne the God comment that he made where, oh, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Buster, right? Enough people said look the other way because Trump is so bad. They ignored it. They knew that man had the brains of mashed potatoes. And not even seasoned mashed potatoes, y'all. He had like it's like mashed potatoes at white people Thanksgiving. But mashed potatoes, for real. And they looked the other way, right? Why? Because social media told them it was okay. And unfortunately, there's so much social credit invested in social media that people will move accordingly. However, now we've hit an impasse. Now Trump is damn near scared to talk about Israel-Palestine. Why? Because he knows there are, I would say that maybe 30 to 40% of his base and some people that would vote for him, they do not like Zionists, right? So what has Trump been doing? Trump's been like, yeah, I know what I said before, but I'm not going to continue to repeat it. I'm just going. If somebody asks me, maybe he'll. If somebody asks him, maybe he'll respond. But you notice that Trump hasn't been on the tirade. Trump, strategically so, by the way, I'll give him credit for it. It's very, very strategic. Trump has been very, very focused on the border because that's a very, in the minds of his base, it's a very cut and dry issue. It's a very simple issue, and really, his base don't even really want to talk about what's going on because they would have to agree with too many leftists that they generally tend to fight with, but they don't like the Zionists either, right? So even Trump has been strategic about how he's addressed the situation. So now we're at a point where if Biden is really saying he's a bad fucking guy, they're saying that there's tensions between him and Biden, Netanyahu and Biden. Netanyahu's own people, right? Y'all seen the protests in front of Netanyahu's house. 30,000 Israelis fled Israel within the last couple of days. Okay? The reality of the situation is not even a day ago, they had Joe Biden come out and say he's a bad fucking guy. And then this tweet from Israel comes out less than 24 hours after that. Y'all think that's coincidence? Or I don't know, man. I can't say for certain. But we know that Israel knew about 9/11 in advance, didn't stop it from happening. Generally speaking, when you don't stop something from happening, you put somebody in advance to record it happen, it's probably because you wanted it to happen. We know that the wars in the Middle East, we know that Israel wanted us to fight those wars. We know that they were not necessarily in the best interest of the United States. Right? I mean, one of the craziest things about Iraq, and really all the Middle East, but definitely Iraq, is how we know that it was claimed that the whole fight with Iraq is because of oil, and partially because of oil too. And a lot of people thought it was because of oil for us, except for we know that under Obama, the United States produced 93% of its own oil. We didn't need it. Think about it. Yet we still don't leave. We don't leave Syria alone. We don't leave Yemen alone. Right now we're still bothering Yemen, was for different reasons. But like we were funding Saudi Arabia's crusade in Yemen because of oil. Like, are you like, we had our own oil. We have, especially now, our own oil. We have our own natural gas. So what is it? Who benefits from that much control over those particular resources in that specific region when we don't even need the shit? The only thing those politicians need is for Israel not to hit whatever switch they have to hit to drop all those photos that Epstein, or all those videos rather, that Epstein gathered for them. That's what I personally think. I don't know. What do y'all think? Sabby is on the way. Sabby comes on in about 5 minutes. We have our own. We sell ours off. As far as oil is concerned, so we do have our own oil, and we also sell it. But like 93, we produce. If we're producing 93% of our own oil, that means we have enough to sell it and enough to provide here in the States, which means we don't need control over theirs. And we're still buying from other regions, from other countries, like Saudi Arabia. Right? So there's not really a necessity, for us to overextend ourselves, overextend our assets and our resources and our military to continue to engage in these wars to the point where now it's become a very costly detriment It would be even better if it was a net zero, but we're not at a point where we're at a net zero. You get what I'm saying? It's like with the war in Afghanistan, we didn't win anything. The people who won were some of those who, like the weapons manufacturers, for example, contractors and their companies, for example, drug dealers for sure. But in my opinion, if I may, those were vultures coming to pick the pieces, right, of a fucked up situation. Those were people trying to make the best out of a bad situation that they were fully aware because of who Israel is. They were trying to make the best out of a bad situation. They knew it was coming. All right, let's go ahead and get our pieces in place because it's going to happen. Get what I'm saying? Israel loves saying, what do they love saying, y'all? They say Hamas is ISIS. That's crazy because ISIS never attacked y'all. Hamas has, but ISIS never attacked y'all. Coincidental, right? Y'all swear every single country. You know what's wild to me? Israel has this habit of saying every single country in the Middle East, basically, wants to wipe them off the face of the planet. Then what is up with these Abraham Accords? And why has it that these motherfuckers are sitting on their hands while you genocide an entire group of people that are also Arab? You got Yemen fighting, doing their part. Lebanon is doing a little bit too, but Lebanon has to because Lebanon's being attacked right now by Israel. So they have to. In Iran, and Israel and Iran have perpetual beef. But the countries allied with the United States in some way, form, or fashion, they not only are not, like they've historically left Israel alone. The quote unquote terrorist organizations, ISIS, we all know that the US created them, never attacked Israel. Al-Qaeda. Y'all want to tell me the last time we've heard of some attack from Al-Qaeda against Israel? And those are extremists. Those are extremists, people. Seems like Al-Qaeda and ISIS only goes to places where we need them to be at. Pakistan, ladies and gentlemen, is literally known as a terrorist hub. Has historically been known as that is literally where we found in quotations in case you can't see, we found Osama bin Laden. So why have we never heard of some terrorist attack from Pakistan or from an insurgency group from Pakistan against Israel? Anybody curious? So what that tells me, and once again, this is just my opinion, what that tells me is that the U.S., we know this isn't, I feel like everybody who's watching the show right now, if it might be your first time, so you might be playing a little bit of catch up, but everybody who's a regular watcher, y'all know what time it is. I don't have to baby y'all. We know the U.S. created Al-Qaeda. This is a fact. This isn't fiction. So, Osama bin Laden worked for the CIA before he was part of the royal family of Saudi Arabia before he was the leader of Al-Qaeda. If that person that they took a picture of is actually even Osama bin Laden, that's a different conversation for a different day. But Al-Qaeda worked for the U.S. ISIS was directly created by the U.S. That's why every time, right, ISIS couldn't be destroyed by the U.S. in Iraq, but somehow Soleimani was able to take them out. The U.S. needs Syria destroyed, or they need rather Assad to be removed. All of a sudden, ISIS shows up, and the U.S. shows up, and ISIS is still there. We're there, and yet so is ISIS. ISIS literally just always shows up where the U.S. is at. Y'all remember whenever they found those resources in that oil well in the Congo? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was the Congo. And literally out of nowhere, do nada, ISIS. They said, how do y'all know they're affiliated with ISIS? But we needed to be ISIS. We can get one of our ISIS people to say it was ISIS. So all those people allied. all those terrorist organizations allied with the U.S., the countries allied with the U.S. that are always committing these attacks, always doing what the U.S. says, and never attacking Israel. Now that one of those organizations previously allied with the U.S., Al Qaeda, attacks the U.S. Israel knows about it. Doesn't do anything. And so no, excuse me. That's a lie. I said they didn't do anything. They did do something. They sent 2 Mossad agents to record it. And in the y'all have to remember, we're at the point, I keep saying, I know y'all have heard probably other people say this as well. We're at the point of no return with Israel, right? I think that this is a very transformational period that we are in right now. And it's beyond Israel. It's including Iran, including China, Russia, obviously the US, the global South in general, right? Especially when you talk about the coups that happened across the board in Africa that were so successful that the West was like, yeah, man, we just gonna have to let this one ride because we can't beat these motherfuckers. They're way too organized, right? What a transformational period. Israel, there's no turning back from where we are at right now. And Bibi is wildly unpopular. You have 30,000 people on top of the hundreds. Well, I think it was close to 100,000 I left before. But you have 30,000 people who had just left 2 days ago from Israel, which is ironic because you got Palestinians who are willing to die for their land, but Israel is only willing to kill other babies and women, innocent babies and women, to take someone else's land. But they damn sure ain't willing to fight and die for their own. Isn't that ironic? But they're really quick to tell Israel, hey man, y'all go bomb these kids. Bibi needs his team. But they also know Bibi is weak, and this is a losing argument. This is a losing topic. And Israel is doing shit that doesn't even make any sense to the rest of the world. And before, whenever Israel did shit that didn't make sense to the rest of the world, it's okay. It really was. Why? Because remember, you got one story on CNN. You got one story at Fox News. On YouTube, you might get one story. You get the story that they want to hear. But generally speaking, it's something, and this is something I actually talk about pretty regularly because people don't know. We were getting censored with Israel-Palestine stories before this whole situation popped off. Did y'all know that? I remember I put up I hadn't even uploaded my video completely yet. And I uploaded the thumbnail. That shit said demonetized. I was like, what the fuck? How you do? I haven't even, you don't even have the words, the video. They had the title and the thumbnail. And their algorithm could tell, yeah, this isn't a pro-Israel algorithm, a pro-Israel video, therefore it's censored immediately. That happened, for real. So you really gotta wonder. You really gotta wonder how far they're willing to go in order to how far they're willing to go to get the result they want. How far is Bibi willing? Y'all do know that Israel has a rule. If they are in war, you don't conduct an election for the prime minister. Bibi is fully aware. He might be the most unpopular person in Israel right now. Bibi might be the only person more unpopular than Hamas in all of Israel. What do y'all think Bibi is willing to do to keep power? Why do y'all think he all of a sudden started advocating for Lebanon? Like, so if we go to war with Lebanon, he started taking pop shots at Syria. He started war with Lebanon. Why do y'all think? I covered this yesterday in case y'all missed it when I was talking to Fiorella. But they're talking about how hold on. they're talking about how Israel, oh, excuse me, not Israel, Iran, my apologies. They're talking about how Iran and the US have been retaliating against each other, or more specifically, how the US feels like it's super necessary to retaliate against Iran after this attack that allegedly came from Iran, even though Iran's completely denied it, and the U.S. hasn't even provided proof. Even when asked, they haven't provided proof. Do y'all know in October 23rd, 2023, October, y'all, the U.S. had claimed that the exact same claim, but in Syria, they said Iran's militia affiliations attacked the U.S. and the U.S. retaliated, and there was barely any discussion about it. That was in October 2023. There was barely any talk, barely anything about it. No wall-to-wall news coverage, nothing like that. Nope, really no pushback about anything, because this is just kind of how it is. But this particular time, the attack happens in Jordan, allegedly from Iran, even though Iran denied it. Iran didn't even deny the other attacks. That's what makes this crazy. They denied this one, and the U.S. didn't provide proof for this one. But even though the U.S. hadn't provided proof, they haven't shut up about what they are willing to do to make Iran pay for it, as if they're trying to manufacture consent of some kind. I just find that very interesting. Don't you? I cannot stress enough how crazy and crucial this moment is. I cannot stress enough. Because Netanyahu has lost his goddamn mind, people. And y'all, once again, how many times have y'all seen if you just tweet out shit and y'all like, really? Y'all just don't. They tweet things out. Netanyahu, they literally try to argue in court. No, excuse me, I'm lying. They didn't even argue in court that they weren't trying to commit a genocide. They didn't even argue that. They just showed pictures of Hamas and like people supporting Hamas and protests in favor of Palestine and like pointing fingers at people. They didn't even really deny the claims, really. I think one time somebody mentioned pamphlets. We threw pamphlets. They are not only psychotic, but idiotic. They do and say things, and they tell you exactly what they're going to do without any fear of repercussion. You get what I'm saying? Now, if that's the case, why do you feel like that's the case? And if that's the case, if that's been the case in the past, why do you think that wouldn't be the case right now? They think they're untouchable. What have we heard from, don't quote me, I want to say it was Jake Sullivan. I think it was Jake Sullivan. But actually, probably it's been multiple people by now. Don't be surprised if there's a terrorist attack in the U.S. They've been trying to link the border to terrorists for the last several months. Even Nikki Haley has been echoing this sentiment. They're trying to link this border crisis to terrorists. And then Israel tweets out, "We will dance again." Not even a day after Biden actually comes out. Because you got to think, that isn't necessary for that to leak. Why would they leak that? It's not going to affect Biden it isn't going to affect, in my opinion, Biden with the voters negatively or positively, because people they've already made up their mind. They know who Biden is. So why tweet it? Or why leak that? Unless it was true and one of BB's little spies decided he wanted to go and tell the Israeli government so that Biden was aware, hey man, We know what's going on. You better chill out. You better chill out. Right? So, really quick, y'all. So we had a scheduling conflict on my part. Sabby's coming on in a couple hours. So here's what I'm gonna do. We're gonna pin this. We're gonna put a pin on this. I want to ask Sabby about this too. We're gonna reconvene at 2 p.m. Eastern time. And I hope that you all are there. It's gonna be a great show. All right. So y'all know I'm on Brazil time. I'm tired. It's been a long day or two. So, but we're gonna be back at 2 p.m. Eastern. So I got a little preview of what we're gonna talk about today. And we're gonna talk about some more stuff a little bit later on with Sabby. And yeah, man, y'all make sure you like this video. Make sure to share this video. Make sure you subscribe. And I will see you all in 2 hours. All right. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, always remember, find your balance. Peace.